The year is 1901. A new century stretches ahead, crackling with the energy of invention, of change. And on the throne of Great Britain, a new king, Edward VII. A monarch eager to steer his nation, and indeed, the monarchy itself, into this modern age. He was a man who embraced the future, sometimes with a boldness that unsettled the old guard. But one of his earliest, and perhaps most symbolic, adoptions of the new age rumbled not through the halls of Parliament, but along the gravel driveways of Sandringham. Imagine the scene. A world still dominated by the clip-clop of hooves, the sway of carriages. The smell of horses was the scent of transport. And then, this. A mechanical beast, noisy, often temperamental, trailing smoke and a sense of thrilling, terrifying newness. The automobile. The horseless carriage. In 1901, these were not the sleek, reliable machines of today. They were experimental, expensive, and to many, a dangerous folly. Yet, for King Edward VII, they represented something irresistible. Progress. Just a year into his reign, in 1902, the king made a decision that would send a clear signal. He purchased his first motor car. A magnificent, British-built Daimler. This wasn't merely a rich man's toy. This was the King of the United Kingdom, Emperor of India, embracing a technology that was still viewed with considerable suspicion. It was a statement. But here lies a fascinating, often overlooked detail, a nuance that adds a peculiar depth to the story of royal modernization. King Edward VII, the royal pioneer of motoring, the man who lent his immense prestige to this fledgling industry, did not particularly enjoy driving himself. Indeed, he rarely, if ever, took the wheel. He understood the machine's potential, its power to transform travel, to shrink distances. He appreciated its symbolism, aligning his reign with innovation. But the actual business of wrestling with the heavy steering, the complex gear changes, the often unpredictable nature of early combustion engines, that, he preferred to leave to others. Specifically, to his chauffeur. This preference reveals something subtle about Edward's approach. It wasn't about a personal passion for mechanics, or the thrill of speed at his own hand. It was about the utility and the image. He saw the car as a tool, a modern conveyance befitting a modern monarch. And so, the figure of the royal chauffeur became instantly prominent. These were highly skilled individuals, part mechanic, part pilot, entrusted with the safety and schedule of the king. They were pioneers in their own right, mastering a new and demanding profession. The king's first Daimler, likely a 22-horsepower model, would have been a formidable machine. It was painted in the royal claret livery, a clear sign of its owner's status. And its appearance on public roads, with the king as a passenger, was an event. Think of the context. Speed limits were incredibly restrictive. The infamous Red Flag Act, requiring a person to walk ahead of a car, had only been fully repealed in 1896. Even in the early 1900s, a speed limit of 12, then 20 miles per hour, was the norm. A monarch choosing this mode of transport was a powerful endorsement. But why his reluctance to drive? Perhaps it was a matter of royal dignity. Wrestling with a stubborn starting handle, or dealing with a roadside breakdown, might not have projected the desired regal image. Perhaps it was practicality. His time was valuable, and a dedicated driver ensured efficiency and reliability, or as much reliability as early cars could offer. Or maybe, quite simply, he just didn't find it enjoyable. The focus, for him, was the destination, the efficiency, the statement of being at the forefront. His adoption of the motor car had immediate ripple effects. It lent enormous prestige to the British motor industry, particularly Daimler. If the king trusted their machines, then surely the aristocracy and the burgeoning middle class could too. His journeys, often to his Sandringham estate, or for social engagements, normalized the sight of these infernal machines on Britain's roads. He wasn't just a passenger, he was a mobile billboard for the automotive age. Consider the quiet courage in this. Early motoring was fraught with hazards. Tires burst, engines caught fire, brakes failed. Roads were often unpaved and unsuitable for these new vehicles. For the head of state to regularly entrust his safety to such technology was a significant act of faith, both in the machines and in the men who maintained and drove them. There's an element of suspense in imagining those early royal motorcades, rattling and roaring through a countryside still largely accustomed to the gentle pace of equine power. It also subtly altered the nature of royal appearances. While still formal, the car allowed for a different kind of mobility, a quicker way to traverse distances, perhaps even a slightly less remote presence than that afforded by a grand, slow-moving carriage procession. It hinted at an accessibility, a monarch more directly engaged with the changing rhythms of the world. The detail of him preferring a chauffeur doesn't diminish his pioneering role. In fact, it underscores his strategic thinking. He wasn't a hobbyist indulging a whim. He was a leader making a deliberate choice about how the monarchy would present itself and function in a new century. He saw the car not as a personal plaything, but as an instrument of his reign. This wasn't a universally popular move, initially. Traditionalists grumbled. Horse breeders worried. But Edward, with his characteristic charm and forward gaze, pressed on. He would go on to build an impressive fleet of royal motor cars, including electrically powered town cars for his wife, Queen Alexandra, who also embraced the new transport. The royal muse began to adapt, making space for these new, mechanical charges alongside the historic horses and carriages. So, when we picture King Edward VII, let's remember him not just as the uncle of Europe, or the jovial bon vivant, but as a quiet revolutionary on wheels. A king who saw the future thundering down the road, and instead of stepping aside, chose to climb aboard even if he preferred someone else to do the steering. His decision to acquire that first Daimler in 1902 wasn't just about personal transport. It was about driving the monarchy, and Britain, confidently into the 20th century. A subtle act, perhaps, driven by a chauffeur, but one that accelerated history.